Billionaire's shocking betrayal exposed how his wife's incredible fight back changed everything. Emily Parker stood frozen in the middle of her pristine Maplewood kitchen, the sunlight streaming through the window illuminating the swirling dust motes in the air. A week had passed since the news broke. Alex, her husband of 15 years, was accused of embezzlement. The headlines vibrated with sensationalism, painting a picture of betrayal and deceit. She felt the world closing in, the echoing whispers of neighbors piercing her heart like daggers. How could they think that about him? She whispered to herself, her hands trembling as she wiped away a stubborn tear. Months ago, they had been the envy of the town. The Parkers flaunted their wealth like a shimmering crown atop their heads, hosting charity events that outshone the stars and always delivering home-baked goods to the local bake sales. Emily was proud of her role mother to two rambunctious kids and Alex's loyal supporter. But now, that image felt tainted, cast against a backdrop of betrayal. Their perfect family portrait began to crack, the frame splintering under pressure. With every whispered slur behind her back, each sidelong glance from once close friends, Emily felt the tide of despair swell. They'd known the Parkers as the golden couple, pillars in the community. The thought that her life, once so infused with warmth, was turning into a tale of treachery pulled her in all directions. Doubt seeped in the foundations of her belief in Alex began to erode. Was everything she knew merely a facade? She could feel the ashes of sorrow settle in her chest, clinging like a weight. But somewhere deep inside, she found a flicker of that wildfire spirit her mother had ignited in her as a child. Emily rolled up her sleeves. She would not let the storm swallow her whole. Determined to clear Alex's name, she stepped out into the world of whispered rumors and half-truths, ready to chase down the shadows with a light of her own. As she reached out to the community, she discovered surprising alliances. Neighbors who'd once been mere acquaintances now stood by her side sharing stories, connecting threads of truth that had evaded her grasp. Their laughter, mixed with sober tones of reflection, gave her strength. She began to untangle the web of Alex's business dealings, pushed by an instinct that insisted he was merely a pawn in a cruel game. With each discovery, blurred lines of morality danced around her. Corporate manipulation, fierce competition all hinted at a deeper layer of deceit that didn't seem to involve her husband. The pinpricks of doubt pierced through her disillusionment. Could it be that Alex was innocent? She felt the weight of his choices as they pressed on her heart, dark clouds looming over her thoughts. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. An evening conversation erupted with a devastating revelation. Emily lay wide awake that night with the weight of betrayal heavy in her heart. The secrets she was unearthing only complicated her feelings. What if Alex had made choices for the sake of their family? The image she cherished cracked further, but the truth swirled in the air, taunting her. Was she ready to confront the man she thought she knew? Unsure of what lay ahead, Emily felt her pulse quicken. She stood at the precipice, the ocean of uncertainty crashing around her. With the stakes poised to rise, could love weather the storm of secrets and revelations? The choices ahead felt daunting, yet a flame of hope flickered within her, urging her forward. Would she emerge as the unwavering beacon of hope for her family or be consumed by the turbulent waves of heartbreak? Emily's thoughts raced as she prepared for the next day's confrontation with Alex. She'd spent the entire night sifting through documents, emails, and financial records, a labyrinth of numbers that felt alien and intimidating. Yet the deeper she delved, the more fragments of a different story emerged. Skepticism danced with hope as she pieced together his innocence, or at least a flawed set of choices that could have spiraled beyond his control. The morning light filtered in through the kitchen window, casting soft hues on the chaos that was now her life. She took a deep breath, firming her resolve. The kids were safely off to school, and for today, Emily needed clarity. As she sat at the kitchen table, laden with printouts and highlighted text, the weight of the world pressed heavily on her shoulders. Was she ready to face the man she shared her life with? The love and trust she once exuded were now heavily marred by doubt. When Alex finally walked through the door that evening, the air crackled around them. He looked worn, with dark circles under his eyes, but still carried that familiar charisma. For a fleeting moment, she remembered the first night they met, the butterflies, the laughter. But now, those memories felt like echoes, growing fainter against the backdrop of his present turmoil. "Emily," he started, his voice strained. "I know this has been hard for you." "Hard doesn't he begin to describe it, Alex," she interjected, leaning forward, her palms pressing against the table for balance. "I need you to tell me the truth. I've found some things that don't add up." The tension thickened. Alex shifted, looking away, the vulnerability evident on his face. "I can explain." "Explain what, Alex?" She shot back, her heart racing. "That you might not be what I thought? That you've been playing a dangerous game without me?" He took a step closer, desperation mingling with regret in his eyes. "I never wanted you to find out this way. I thought I could handle it, that I could protect you and the kids." Her breath hitched. "Protect us? Or protect yourself?" The silence hung between them like a fragile thread waiting to snap. Emily felt the weight of their history pressing against her, years of laughter and love battling it out with recent betrayals. "You need to be honest if we're going to move forward," she finally whispered, her voice shaking. "Because right now, I feel like I'm fighting for someone who might not even be fighting for me." He looked at her, pain evident in every line of his face. "Emily, I swear." His voice trailed off, guilt wrapping around his words like shadows. In that instant, she saw a flicker of the man she fell in love with, a glimpse of vulnerability beneath the layers of deception. Yet, it wasn't enough. She needed more than promises, she needed the truth, no matter how painful. The clock ticked steadily as she held his gaze, both of them suspended in the weight of unspoken words. "What were you involved in?" she asked, knowing every second stretched the limits of her resolve. Before he could answer, a sudden crash came from outside, a siren's wail echoing through the streets. Emily's heart raced, jumping at the unexpected sound, a dark omen in a growing storm. She felt a chill run down her spine, as the truth began to unfold before them both. "Emily, I need to tell you," but just then her phone buzzed, flashing alerts from news channels. "Police investigation intensifies in Parker embezzlement case," one headline proclaimed, slicing through their fragile moment. Her stomach twisted. What did this mean for Alex? As reality blurred, Emily realized they were standing at a crossroads steeped in uncertainty. Would their love withstand the fierce winds of change, or would it crumble under the weight of truth? And as the sirens wailed louder, she braced herself. The real battle was about to begin. Would it bring them closer, or tear them apart forever? Emily's hands trembled as she processed the flashing headline on her phone. Police investigation intensifies in Parker embezzlement case. The words swirled around her mind, drowning out the fading sounds of Alex's deep breaths. Reality crashed in like a tidal wave, and she felt the ground shift under her feet. Alex wasn't just entangled in a web of lies, he was at the center of a scandal. Her heart raced, each beat matching the thumping of sirens outside. "Emily, please, let me explain," he pleaded, his voice breaking through her panic. "Explain what, Alex? How you thought you could shield us from what comes next?" She snapped, anger igniting in her chest. Her body felt cold, frozen under the harsh reveal. "You've been playing with fire, and now the whole world knows." "We can't panic," he said, his tone desperate as he tried to take her shoulders, but she flinched away. "I didn't want any of this to happen. It got out of hand." "Out of hand? You're being investigated by the police." She felt sweat trickle down her back, a chill of dread overtaking her. What were you thinking? You put our family in jeopardy. Emily, listen to me. He stepped forward, his gaze searching hers for something: closure, validation, maybe forgiveness. I got involved in something I thought could help us help the kids. I never thought what? That you'd get caught? The words tumbled out, and even as she spoke them, she felt a horrible ache in her chest. She was unraveling, and the worst part was the tangled feelings inside her. Rage, love, betrayal, all mixing together in a toxic brew. Just give me a chance. His hands reached for her again, this time catching her wrist. Your research, you don't see the full picture. There's more going on here than you know. I wanted to explain everything tonight, but I didn't have the chance. She shook her head, fighting against the sinking feeling taking over her. You want me to believe that there's some noble purpose behind this? I don't know where your motives stop or start. Emily took a deep breath, trying to collect her thoughts, but they scattered like leaves in a storm. Emily, the money was never mine. It was all meant to be a temporary fix, and I thought I could make it right. He let out a shaky breath, his eyes pleading for her to understand. I'm scared, too. You have to trust me. Trust? She echoed, eyes blazing. You've shattered that trust, Alex. This isn't just about you and me anymore. Her voice faltered as memories of their life flickered through her mind, bright and beautiful days spent laughing, planning futures, building dreams. Then let me repair it. I can, I promise. The sincerity in his voice made her pause, even for a heartbeat. He was shaking now, too, vulnerability seeping through the cracks of his bravado. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Just don't walk away. But how could she not? The evidence piled high in her mind, and her heart grappled with the man she knew and the one he'd become. As the sirens began to fade and the evening grew darker, Emily knew she stood at a crossroads. Did she pull the handles of trust wide open, risking everything once again? Finally, she replied, the only way forward is the truth, Alex. And you'd better be ready to spill every single detail. In that moment, a new resolve sparked within her. She wouldn't let fear dictate her actions. She was a fighter. But what she didn't expect was the depth of the revelations Alex still had to share. Would they bring them closer or tear them apart for good? Alex's eyes widened, panic flickering like a candle in a storm. The tension between them crackled, a mixture of fear, anger, and an undercurrent of hope. He looked as if he might bolt, but instead, he took a deep breath. Okay, the money? It was part of a bigger scheme than you can imagine. And what scheme could possibly justify what you did? Emily crossed her arms, her heart pounding. Every cell in her being screamed for honesty, but dread coiled tightly around her thoughts. It was supposed to help the business. I didn't want to burden you. I thought I could solve our financial problems. I thought I could elevate us. His voice cracked, revealing pain beneath the bravado. There were investors, Emily. They were promising a lot more than I could put on the table. She could see him breaking as he spoke. Shadows of guilt danced across his features, and for the first time, she noticed the way his hands shook, how he clung to the hope that she might still understand. She felt a flicker of empathy tug at her anger. So, you lied to me for us? The sarcasm was thick in her voice. You must think I'm so naive to just believe that this was somehow noble, Alex. No, it's not noble, he admitted, his voice softening. It's stupid. I didn't consider the consequences. I thought it would be a quick fix, but things spiraled out of control. Emily took a step back, swallowing hard. Quick fixes landed us here, Alex. If you need money to fix things, why not talk to me? Why not involve me? I didn't want you to worry, he said, desperation bleeding into each word. I didn't want you to see me as a failure. You may have seen our family as a castle built on sand, she replied, the bitterness slicing through her. But at least I had my 2 feet on solid ground. You turned it all into a delusion of your making. Please, he begged, desperation etched in every line of his face. I'll do anything to fix this. I'm scared of losing all of you, the kids, this family. I never meant to hurt you. His confession hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. She wanted to believe him, wanted to reach back into the memories of laughter and love. But the evidence said otherwise. I need time, she finally whispered, hoping to tamp down her burgeoning anger and sorrow. I can't just forgive you overnight. Time is the one thing we might not have. He looked away, staring into the darkness beyond their brick wall of a home. They're going to investigate everything, the bank, the company. Even us. Emily's stomach dropped. What do you mean? I mean the police will want to know how we live, how we spend, where the money came from. They'll dig up everything, even the years I spent hiding from the truth. What if they pull you into this mess? She took a shaky breath, the gravity of his words sinking in like stones in her heart. What if they were being swept up in something far more sinister? Then we fight, she stated, the ember of resolve glowing brighter. We can't hide from this truth. Not now. We face it together. Alex looked back into her eyes, a mixture of fear and gratitude swelling in his expression. We? Together? Yes. But you have to promise to be open, to tell me everything about this, no matter how ugly. No more half-truths. Okay, I promise, he replied, the weight of his past pressing heavily on them both. Emily turned away, fighting the swirl of emotions inside. A part of her knew they were teetering on the edge of a cliff, but she also grasped another truth: facing the storm was their only option now. The question was, could they withstand it? With that thought lingering in her mind, she sensed that the next few days would be crucial for both of them. The truth would expose more than just Alex's secrets. As she stared out the window into the dimming light, she knew that the answer to whether they would survive the chaos lay like a ticking clock, seconds away from midnight. What would happen when all the truths and lies collided? They were about to find out. Emily couldn't shake the chill from Alex's words. Time was scarce, but the weight of his confession felt heavier by the minute. She watched the sun dip below the horizon, the fading light mirroring the sinking feeling in her gut. Could they really stand united when the storm came crashing in? The following morning, Emily sat at the kitchen table, staring into her coffee. The silence was deafening. Alex had left early, a promise of gathering information coursing through every bite of toast he swallowed. She wanted to trust him. Yet the deeper she dug into her thoughts, the more she found the roots of doubt twisting tightly around her heart. She took a deep breath, letting the familiar aroma of coffee ground her. The kids were still asleep, providing a momentary peace. But that silence was about to be shattered by the real world. She flexed her fingers, preparing. The fight ahead wouldn't be easy, but giving in was no option. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, startling her. It was a text from Alex. I'll be home soon. I need to talk. Anxiety knotted her stomach. She tried to gather her thoughts, desperate for clarity. As the minutes passed, the anticipation became unbearable. Then, a loud knock echoed through the quiet house. Emily jumped, glancing toward the door. She opened it hesitantly, revealing a tall man in a dark suit, his demeanor stern yet composed. "Emily Torres?" he asked, his voice low and official. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" "I'm Detective Sanders. I need to speak with you regarding your husband." The air seemed to drain out of the room. Just as the moment had started to steady itself, a new wave of panic crashed in. "About what?" "We're investigating some concerns surrounding your husband's financial activities," he stated flatly. Her heart raced, pounding loudly in her ears. I don't understand." "Alex wouldn't please. I need to ask you some questions. This is very important." He stepped inside, his presence filling the room with tension. "Is this about the investors?" she asked, her voice shaking. The detective remained unfazed. "It's more complicated than that." He pulled out a notebook, the pages crisp and clean. "I need to know if you were aware of any discrepancies related to your husband's business dealings." "No. No, I wasn't," Emily replied quickly, her breath hitching. He didn't want to burden me. Or he might have hoped to keep you out of it entirely," Sanders countered. "Your answers matter, Mrs. Torres. They could impact how this case unfolds for you and your children." Emily opened her mouth to respond, but no sound came. The lump in her throat was too big. Looking into the detective's unwavering gaze, she felt the walls close in around her. Just then, the sound of the front door swung open. Alex rushed in, his face a mix of fear and determination. "Emily!" he shouted, seeing the detective. "What is going on?" "Alex!" Emily cried, relief flooding her. "He's here about you. About the business." The tension in the room shifted, doubling like an elastic band pulled too tight. Alex went pale, his eyes darting from Emily to the detective. "Everything is going to be okay," he whispered to her, but his own voice wavered. "Sir, you need to come with me," Detective Sanders said, his command unwavering. "We're just going to ask you a few questions." Emily's heart sank at the look in Alex's eyes, fear mingled with something darker. The truth was out there, swirling like a storm, ready to unleash its fury. Now, with her world spinning around her once more, she realized a harsher reality: they had entered a battle far more significant than she had anticipated. "Alex, wait!" she shouted just as he turned to follow the detective, desperation rising in her voice. "You need to tell me everything right now." As he hesitated, staring back at her, the tension peaked. Would he finally disclose the truth? Or would this moment unearth deeper cracks in their fragile union? The answers were closer than ever, and with them, the possibility of devastation. What could happen now? As they stood on the brink, their lives were about to spiral further into the unknown. The moment hung thick in the air. Emily's heart thudded against her ribs, a relentless drumbeat of uncertainty. She darted her eyes between Alex and the detective, searching for answers in Alex's expression, those familiar features now shadowed with anxiety, despair, and perhaps, something more sinister. "Emily," Alex began, a tremor in his voice, enough." Detective Sanders interrupted firmly, cutting through the ebbing chaos like a sharp knife. "This isn't the time for your questions. We need to discuss facts." He turned back to Alex. "Are you prepared to answer some questions about your financial activities related to Torres Enterprises?" The room felt suffocating as Alex swallowed hard, a flicker of fear igniting in his gaze. Emily's breath caught in her throat. He hesitated. What could he possibly be hiding? Were the investors involved in something more than just business? "I've done nothing wrong," he said, his tone almost pleading, the desperation palpable. "I promise." "How can I believe you?" Emily whispered, feeling the weight of his promise crumble. She feared that one slip could send them spiraling down a path from which there was no return. "Let him speak," said the detective, scribbling notes, oblivious to their turmoil. "We just need to clear some things up, Mr. Torres. The allegations are serious. If you cooperate, it might lessen the severity of the charges against you." "Charges?" The word echoed in Emily's mind as if it were a distant siren growing closer. All the late nights, the whispers of financial strain, it suddenly clicked into place. "What kind of charges?" The detective remained stoic. "Fraud, possibly embezzlement. We're still gathering the full scope of evidence." Emily felt bile rise in her throat. "No. Alex wouldn't do that." Tears blurred her vision, but she fought them back. She couldn't show weakness now. "You're lying." "Am I?" Sanders mused, his voice cold. He fixed Emily with a steady gaze. A series of unexplained transactions have surfaced. We need to know if you were complicit, if you had any knowledge of detective, Alex cut in, his voice tremulous with urgency. I'm innocent. I swear to you, I've made mistakes, but not like that. His distress stabbed at her heart. Could he be telling the truth? Was it all entangled in a web of deceit and desperation? The desperate calls for help, the half-truths, they began to take a sinister new form in her mind. The detective regarded Alex with a mix of skepticism and caution. What do you mean, mistakes? This isn't a game, Mr. Torres. Innocence only matters if you can prove it. I need to speak with my wife alone, Alex said, his voice rising, raw with emotion. I can't do this without her. Emily felt a flicker of hope amidst the despair. Perhaps there were truths still unspoken, revelations ready to pour from Alex. Perhaps this would be their moment of reckoning. The detective frowned but nodded slightly. Fine. 10 minutes, he allowed, turning away to give them a shred of privacy. Alex, please. Emily took a step closer, her voice trembling as she searched his eyes. What is really going on? Just tell me everything. With a deep breath, he stepped back, searching for the right words. I didn't want to drag you into this. I thought I could fix it. But I didn't anticipate any of this. Please trust me. Trust. Emily scoffed, hurt and disbelief writing her every syllable. How can I trust you when everything just feels like a facade? He opened his mouth, yet the words faltered. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the distant crack of thunder, promising storms ahead. As the clock ticked down, Emily realized they were approaching the edge of something profound, a moment to either unite or fall apart. Would Alex choose transparency, or would he let the weight of his secrets shatter them? The storm was brewing outside their door, but an even bigger tempest brewed within. Emily, Alex finally began, his voice low and raw, there's so much you don't know, and with those words, the tension crackled in the air, and Emily braced herself for the truth that could shatter everything. What was he about to reveal? Would it bind them together or tear them apart forever? Emily, Alex started again, but the words fell short. His eyes darted to the detective, anxiety gripping him. He looked like a man caught in a storm, desperate to either find refuge or drown within it. Just tell me. Emily begged, her voice strained, heart racing as he struggled to form the truth. What did you do, Alex? He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar yet laden with panic now. I got involved with some investors who promised the world, but it spiraled out of control. Emily's stomach twisted at his admission. Investors? That's it? You didn't think to share any of this with me? It wasn't supposed to affect us, he insisted, but the sheen of desperation in his eyes betrayed him. I thought I could keep it all separate. I wanted to protect you. Protect me? The words came out sharp, slicing through the tension. Do you honestly think keeping secrets is protecting me? This isn't just about business, Alex. What if those investors are bad news? Clouds rolled in through the window, dimming the room as if to echo their mounting dread. Frankly, Emily couldn't tell if the storm brewing outside had anything to do with nature or with the dark shadows creeping into their lives. It's worse than I thought, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. There's a lot more money missing than I realized. I thought we could turn it around before anyone found out. I thought I could fix it before it broke you. Suddenly, every detail that had seemed trivial fell into place: the late nights, the lies about where he was, the vague explanations about business meetings. She felt the world around her tilt into uncertainty, the foundations of their relationship cracking beneath the weight of revelations. Alex, what do you mean, money missing? How could you? Emily, listen. I never meant for any of this to happen, but it is happening. She exclaimed, frustration bursting through her like a tidal wave. You might end up in jail for something serious. People need to know the truth. No. He stepped forward, desperation blending with fear in his voice. If I tell them everything, it could ruin us. I can't let them take you away from me. Emily stepped back, her heart racing. The hidden despair within his eyes now melded with fear of their reality crashing down. She couldn't decide whether to comfort him or confront him even further. Which path did she want to forge? But we're already on the edge. Living in a bubble of lies won't protect either of us, she said. We can find a way out, he urged. I swear it. Please give me a chance to make it right. I need time to fix this. Time, she thought bitterly. The clock was ticking, every second extended the possibility of further complications. The detective would be back any minute, and they needed to settle this before the door opened to reveal the weight of judgment. A silence stretched between them, the tension thick enough to choke. Then, just when Emily thought it couldn't get heavier, she saw a tear escape from the corner of Alex's eye. Emily, he said again, this time the sound stronger, more resolute. Whatever you decide, I'll face it, but I need you to be here, please. The plea hung between them, heavy with their shared history, yet tainted with distrust. Would she stand by him in this tumultuous deluge, or would the truth be their undoing? Before she could respond, the detective's voice cut through, authoritative and unyielding, Mr. Torres. Time's up. Emily's heart dropped. The moment of choice had arrived, and she had to decide if she should fight for the man she loved or prepare to face the facts of his betrayal. As they eyed the detective walking towards them, Emily felt the strength of doubt work into her resolve. She had to know, she had to understand just how deep the betrayal ran. Alex, she breathed, uncertainly, what else haven't you told me? She could only hope the answer wouldn't shatter everything they had built. Would he finally reveal the truth? The detective moved closer, each step echoing like a drumbeat in Emily's chest. She was acutely aware of every breath, every heartbeat, pounding a rhythm of anxiety. Alex looked like a cornered animal, desperate and lost, as his gaze darted between her and the detective. The detective squared his shoulders, a polished confidence radiating from him. We need to talk, Alex, he said, his voice calm yet firm. The investigation has taken a serious turn. Emily felt her skin crawl at the words. It wasn't just the fear of what Alex had gotten into, it was the looming reality of a truth she might not want to face. She wanted to cling to hope, to believe that they could find a way out together. But dread clutched her heart tightly, making it hard to breathe. Just tell him the truth, Emily urged, a mixture of desperation and resolve flooding her veins. You need to come clean, Alex. The silence hung, heavy and suffocating. It was as if the world had paused, waiting for the inevitable unraveling to begin. Alex locked eyes with her, a silent conversation flowing between them, filled with fear but laced with love. Okay, he finally stated, his voice thick with emotion. I'll tell you everything. No sooner had the words left his lips than the detective took a step closer, attention riveted on Alex like a hawk sensing impending prey. Let us start with the investors, the detective prompted, crossing his arms as if ready to catch a lie. Alex ran a hand through his hair again, a telltale sign of his rising anxiety. They're not just investors. They have connections, powerful ones. We thought they could help us expand the business, but it was a trap. They're dangerous. They began asking for more than we could give, and I got in way over my head. A chill swept through the room, and the sunlight that once flooded in now felt like a distant memory. Emily felt cold inside, and the thought of Alex tangled up with people who had powerful connections sent shivers down her spine. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. I never meant for any of this to affect you. I thought I could keep everything separate, just like I promised, he said, the shame in his voice evident. Emily stepped closer, her heart aching not just for her love but for the man before her crumbling under the weight of his choices. You didn't just keep it separate, Alex. You put us both at risk. We're all tied into this mess now. The detective interjected, steady and steadying. Alex, we need the entire story. You're looking at serious charges if this continues. Charges? Emily echoed, the word feeling like a knife twisting deep in her gut. What charges? Fraud. Embezzlement. This goes beyond you, Alex. It involves multiple parties, the detective replied, flicking a glance at her, full of meaning. Emily's pulse quickened. The walls began to close in, and she glanced at the window where dark clouds loomed, threatening rain. I can't believe this is happening, she whispered, shaking her head in disbelief. Emily, please. I swear I can fix this. I promise, Alex pleaded, desperate. But doubt gnawed at her. How could she trust him now? Fix what? This isn't something that can just get fixed. A deep silence stretched, their gazes still locked, uncertainty lingering. Think carefully about your next move, both of you, the detective warned, stepping in again. The choices you make now will determine everything. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. She could choose solidarity or abandonment, denial or battle. Just give me one chance to prove it, Alex said, his voice strained. I need you to trust me. Trust that I can make this right. The sky outside darkened, and as thunder rumbled in the distance, Emily took a breath, fighting back tears. This was more than she had ever imagined, and yet, she couldn't leave him. Could love survive this storm? And then the question formed in her mind, the quiet ultimatum echoing louder than the thunder, could she really trust him again? With her heart breaking, she finally said, "What's your plan, Alex? Because I need to know what we're up against." But even as she spoke, uncertainty loomed larger than ever. Would his plan be enough to save them, or was it just another lie? Alex's eyes flickered with uncertainty as he took a deep breath. The first step is to gather evidence. We need to get ahead of this before it spirals further out of control, he said, his voice steadier now, tinged with urgency. I have a contact who knows the ins and outs of this situation. He can help us. Emily's brow furrowed. A contact? Do you trust him? Or is he part of the problem? He's not involved in any of this, Alex replied, desperation creeping into his tone again. He's a private investigator. He'll understand our situation and help us navigate through it. A flicker of hope sparked within her, but it was quickly engulfed by anxiety. How can we even trust anyone anymore? We're in a world filled with betrayal. I know, he said, moving closer, his hand reaching out to touch her arm. But we have to take a risk. I can't lose you, Emily. Not like this. His grip was firm, but his eyes reflected vulnerability. She felt the warmth of his skin against hers, a small reminder of their bond. Yet, doubt didn't wane. Was this just another empty promise? What about the detective? If he thinks you're hiding information, it'll be the end for both of us. Alex nodded, pain visible in his features. We need to be smart about this. I'll give him what he wants, the parts that don't incriminate us. We'll steer the narrative. They can't charge me if I can present the truth before they get their claws in deeper. Another rumble of thunder sounded, and the storm that loomed outside felt dangerously close. But do we even know the whole truth? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What if there are things you haven't told me? What if your contact isn't what he seems? Emily, I swear, he pleaded, desperation washing over him, nearly breaking his voice. I wouldn't bring you into this if I didn't think we had a fighting chance. You have to believe me. I want to believe you, she said, tears pricking the corners of her eyes. But how much more can we take? The walls are closing in, Alex. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about us, our life, our future. He took a step back, his expression a mixture of fear and determination. Then let us fight for it. I'll set up a meeting with my contact tonight. We'll figure out the best way to approach the detective. If we can bundle the facts in our favor, it might just buy us some time. Emily felt a knot in her stomach. Time. That was the one thing they didn't have. The thunder intensified, harmonizing with her racing heart. What if it's not enough? What if we go to him, and it backfires? Alex's blue eyes met hers, a storm of emotions swirling within them. Then we face whatever comes. Together. She inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of his words settling in. Together. If they were going to play this dangerous game, they had to do it as a team. But could they really hold on to that unity with so many uncertainties lurking? Okay, she finally said, her voice steadier. Let us do it. But promise me one thing. What's that? Promise me that you won't hide anything else from me ever again. I promise, he said, the sincerity of his words wrapped in an urgency she desperately needed to believe. But deep down, shadows of doubt still stirred. Was he truly ready to share everything, or would secrets creep back into their lives like unwelcome intruders? As they readied themselves for the night ahead, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that storm clouds weren't just gathering outside. They were brewing within Alex, too. Could they truly weather this tempest together, or would the truth tear them apart? As night fell, the intensity of impending storms could be felt both outside and within the walls of the Parker home. Emily stood beside Alex, her heart fluttering, a mixture of hope and apprehension coursing through her veins. After what felt like an eternity of silence, she finally nodded, clinging to the fragile thread of trust they were trying to rebuild. Let us face this together, she said, her determination growing stronger. If we're going to do this, we can't hide or shy away anymore. We deal with every piece of the puzzle, no matter how painful it might be. Alex's gaze intensified, clarity settling in. You're right. This is our only shot. I won't let you down again. The rain began to patter against the windowpanes, a soothing rhythm cloaked in tense energy. It was like nature was orchestrating their own little symphony of chaos. Emily picked up the phone and dialed the investigator Alex had mentioned. After a few rings, a calm voice answered, introducing himself as Tom. Mr. Torres told me you'd be calling. We have a lot to discuss. Where would you like to meet? Can we meet at our house? She asked, glancing at Alex, who nodded encouragingly. Sure. I can be there in 10. The call ended, and both exchanged anxious looks brimming with anticipation. Here we go, Alex said softly. This is the first step toward clearing my name. Toward clearing us. Hours stretched like an eternity as they waited. Each raindrop echoed their uncertainty. Alex paced back and forth, fidgeting, while Emily sat at the kitchen table, fingers drumming against its surface. Finally, the doorbell rang, slicing through the tension in the air. The two exchanged a breath, steeling themselves. Emily opened the door to reveal a middle-aged man in a worn brown coat, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. Tom had a weary but sharp gaze that cut right through the facade of calm they were striving to maintain. Hello, Emily. Alex, he nodded, stepping inside. I need to know everything. All of it. As the three sat around the kitchen table, the atmosphere felt electric. Emily felt as though her heart was about to leap out of her chest. This was it, the unwrapping of all lies and half-truths, the solidification of the path they needed to take. Alex began to recount everything, the investors, the deals, the fears that guided his choices. Every concealed truth spilled out into the room, dark and raw. Emily listened intently, absorbing each detail with wide eyes as Alex revealed his desperation to make things work for their family, but she was left reeling. How had she not seen the shadows lurking beneath their perfect life? Tom absorbed the information methodically, nodding occasionally. "Look, Alex," he finally said, leaning in, "you've made mistakes, no doubt. But if you're as innocent as you say, we need to structure your response for the detective. You can still salvage something here, but it takes honesty, and you'll have to prove every last detail." Emily's heart raced. For the first time, they had an ally. "What about potential charges?" she asked, her voice calm but urgent. "Manageable if we act fast. Emphasize the entrapment angle. If you can show you were misled by these investors, it could mitigate their interest in prosecuting you." Alex swallowed hard, grasping at hope, but fear still lingered in his eyes. "And if I can't? What will that mean for us?" Tom fixed a steady gaze on him. "That's a risk we have to face together. But first, you need to prepare for a full-on confrontation with the detective. Be ready for tough questions." As the plan took shape, Emily felt something new stirring inside her, a resurgence of protective instinct. This wasn't merely about Alex. It was about their family, their children, and the life they had built together. She thought of the whispers, the doubts, the betrayal, and yet, the love that still flickered between them. Later that night, Emily gazed out the window as the rain continued to pour. She turned to Alex. "No more secrets," she insisted. "We're in this together. Whatever happens tomorrow, face it with me. We're a family, and we'll fight for what we believe in." He stepped closer, his eyes glimmering with something deeper, something like hope. "I promise," he replied, his voice firm. That night, they shared stories, reminiscing about the best times of their life. Through laughter mixed with tears, they began to mend. With every shared memory, the weight of uncertainty seemed to ease, and a renewed sense of unity blossomed within them. As dawn approached, casting soft light through the curtains, Emily felt an unfamiliar strength inside her. They would face the storm together, come what may. With a final glance at Alex, determination replaced doubt in her heart. They would stand against whatever came next. Because together, they could overcome anything, even the darkest betrayals. There was no going back now. They were ready for whatever the next day would bring. "Let us do this," she whispered, feeling the resolve ripple through her. And as an echo of thunder rumbled in the distance, Emily Parker knew that tomorrow would be a day of reckoning. And she was prepared to fight. Now, it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our journey. We want to hear from you in the comments. Share your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real fans know the importance of supporting our work, and this is the moment to show your love.